Okay, so finding the perfect match. The other day I was talking to someone. Okay, and he said, his biggest problem is that his companies are growing, and they're growing very nicely and relatively quickly, but they're overloaded again. And as soon as he spreads it out a little bit, they're overloaded again. And by overloaded, I mean they're outgrown. It's like a pot is the analogy I use, like a flower pot. Have you ever seen, you get this plant and it's beautiful and it's got beautiful leaves and all that stuff, and then you give it enough water and it's sitting in the right light and all that stuff, but it looks healthy, but the leaves start dropping off of it. Like there's a dead leaf. Now there are 2 dead leaves, and it's like, what's going on? It's root bound. It's too full. You've got to get a bigger pot to allow it to grow, right? So it's like it's imploding. It's dying while it's healthy. Well, that's this business. And so, we talked about it again. And I already heard, just from things that he wasn't saying, more than what he was saying, that it was happening again. And he only just expanded, like just 2 months ago, expanded his living space. And now he needs to expand it again. Why? Because he didn't expand it enough. Why? Because he's afraid if I go too big, it's too much overhead and too much and too much and too much. Just like Brian was saying, in that first year that you're growing, you may show a loss. But that's okay, because you're still getting your salary, right? So it's not like it's taking away from your income. Your business may show a temporary loss because you're growing. But that's okay, because next year you'll have a bigger profit than you ever had before. So it all works out. But you've got to grow. You've got to expand. So then I was helping him come around to seeing what a part of the problem was. And the biggest part of the problem is that he has such a hard time with the hiring process. But he doesn't even do the hiring anymore. So I said, so what do you see as your problem? And he thought about it and he said, oh, I'm looking for somebody just like me. So this is a problem that a lot of people have, is that they hire people just like you. But he understands. You don't hire people just like you, because now you've got something that's all tipped to one side, because you're looking for people just like you. You're all just like you. Remember the technique?
Handle too,
So now you don't have the younger people with all the technology, or you don't have the relationships-driven people, or you don't have the accomplishments-driven people. You've got all the control-driven people, maybe. Well, controllers don't like to be controlled. Trust me on that one. So you do need control-driven people, and you need relationships-driven people, and you need accomplishments-driven people. But this guy doesn't even do the hiring anymore. So what's that all about? Well, it is that he does want people just like himself, but he knows not to get people just like himself. So what does he do? He says, well, let's not hire anybody else just yet. We can make do. We can do this, we can do that, and we can make do. Make do. Have you ever heard that expression? I grew up with that. We can make do. My mom is the best at making do. Making do with food, with clothing, with accommodation. She can make do with everything. And we're brought up with that mentality to make do. But you can't make do in a company. And you shouldn't be in your personal life either. Okay, so don't hire someone just like you, because now you're going to be lopsided on a teeter-totter. And expand so that your company can grow.